I would say to chill out, relax, enjoy it, and trust where you are at in your process and your journey, because it doesn't matter where anyone else is. It doesn't matter if this person's XYZ and they're winning world championships. Like, that's not where you're at in your journey right now. Like, trust what you're doing day to day and really buy into the process and the process of learning about yourself through all of these like setbacks and comebacks and the process that's endurance sports.
Welcome to For the Long Run, the podcast exploring the why behind what keeps runners running long, strong, and motivated. I'm your host, Jonathan Levitt. Through personal and professional connections in the running world, I have the privilege of getting to know some amazing athletes. I've always been fascinated by the psychological aspect of running, and this podcast is aimed at exploring this and much more. I hope you enjoy. Have you guys heard of Beam? I have been absolutely loving their products lately. Beam is a CBD company that's making waves in the running world by offering products that combine THC-free CBD with other high-quality ingredients. It was founded by two ex-professional athletes with the idea that everyone should have the chance to experience what better feels like. Whether you're sore or stressed, Beam is key for recovery and self-care. Try it for yourself with 15% off using the code FTLR from beamtlc.com. I recommend Beam Dream Powder or the Focus Capsules. This episode is brought to you by SuperCoffee, the healthy, delicious alternative to sugary coffee drinks. SuperCoffee was recently named the fastest growing food and beverage brand in America by Inc. magazine, and after tasting a bunch of their flavors, I can see why. Their coffees contain zero sugar, and many of them contain 10 grams of plant-based protein. They're growing in popularity in the running community, and I'm excited to share a special discount with you. They offer a 60-day money-back guarantee, meaning if you don't love it, you get your money back, no questions asked. Grab 15% online with the code FTLR, or look for them nationwide in 25,000 stores like Target, Whole Foods, Walmart, Kroger, and CVS. Cheers. And welcome back. I have Lisa Becharas joining me on the podcast today. Lisa, thanks so much for taking some time to chat.
Thanks for having me in your cool podcast room.
Of course. We just took the bike out of the room, so you won't be tempted to ride away.
Yeah, it's sad. Nothing to look at.
But we can look at these mountains that are here. That's the Grand Canyon.
I was going to say, is that the Grand Canyon?
That's out near Ouray.
Oh, that's what do they call that? Like the Switzerland of Colorado?
Switzerland of the Americas.
Of the Americas.
Yeah.
You know, and there's talk of it making it into a national park, which I hope they never do because it'll absolutely ruin the whole thing.
So I take it you've been out there.
Yes. Beautiful.
Yes.
Went off-roading. I hate off-roading, by the way.
In a car?
In a car or on a bike? In a car.
Got it.
In a car, because you feel like you're going to vomit the whole time and you're like, ugh.
Was that on $1 Million Highway? No, because that's paved.
No. Just some of those off-road Jeep routes. Yeah, terrifying also because it's like some of them are just like a sheer cliff that you can fall off and just die.
So I found out that the reason that they don't have sides to that or like barricades beyond the cliff is because they need enough room for the plows to get through and snow plow. So as a result, they didn't put up barriers. So there are like 7 or 8 deaths every year because of the need for snow plows.
Yeah. Why do you need a snow plow on like an off-road?
No, not on the Jeep road, on like the windy road that goes out of town.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
That one that goes north.
Yeah. That's scary too.
That is a scary road. I drove it and I stayed on the left side.
Yeah. Oncoming traffic. It's
the
fine.
Internal side, yeah. So we'll probably talk a lot about Colorado in the duration of this podcast. Neither of us are from here or have lived here for a while.
From here anymore?
I think so. We'll get into that too, I'm sure. But before we get too far, who is Lisa?
Well, I was born on February 20th, 1990. I'm a Pisces. My favorite food is watermelon. My favorite color is blue. And I like to go to bed before 9 p.m.
Wow. Okay.
There's nothing more that you need to know. Those are the most important things.
Those are the most important things. I've had a lot of conversations lately about identity and like putting yourself into buckets. And so whenever I ask professional athletes or any athlete this question, it's always interesting to see where they go. And you don't lead with, I'm Lisa, I'm a professional triathlete, and I like to ride my bike with 2 handlebars.
Yeah. I prefer one.
You led with interesting, fun facts about yourself and, the fact that probably most people in this town go to bed before 9 o'clock.
Yeah, I think it is common. I do. And those are my favorite people.
Yeah.
The ones that go to bed.
And the watermelon eaters, of course.
And the watermelon eaters. Absolutely.
I just got my first watermelon this season upstairs.
It's good.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. I just cut another one yesterday.
Nice.
I ate a whole watermelon last week.
Do you know how to properly assess if a watermelon is a good watermelon?
See, I was talking to my roommate about this yesterday, and this is embarrassing because my dad, we had a family wholesale produce business for forever. And so I should know a lot more about produce than I do. But I feel like I remember him saying when it's like kind of yellow on the bottom or one side that it's like ripe. So I just choose those, and it's kind of like a up in the air whether it's going to be good or not.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I learned yesterday from Ross.
So it's wrong. This is wrong.
It might be. I might be wrong too. I learned yesterday what I was told from Ross, who you just met, that you're supposed to hold it and like slap it a little bit. And if it sounds hollow, it's good.
Okay.
So
maybe, and it has a yellow bottom.
Hollow and has a yellow bottom.
Yeah, you slap it a little. It's totally fine. Normal things in the grocery store. People will understand.
So the Whole Foods here, you can at least be outside when you're doing this. So it's not like reverberating, like slapping the watermelon.
Right. Okay, but
makes me want to say slapping the base.
Yeah. Well, I have this like weird thing about things outside of a grocery store.
So you don't buy plants then?
No. I did buy some seed once, or some wildflower seed this year, and like I'm kind of growing that, but not really. But like, do you pick up the watermelon and then bring it inside to your cart? Like you get the cart second?
I don't know. The order of operations on that one is kind of up to you, but.
Or do you like, you check out and you're like, hey, I'm getting a watermelon, by the way, and then you like take one when you leave? Or is that illegal?
See, I would think that would favor the store because probably 50% of people would forget to actually pick up the watermelon.
Yeah.
So maybe that is the rule because that probably helps.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess I get nervous. So I just I use the ones inside.
The cut ones.
No. Well, I shop at King Supers in Gun Barrel. So they keep they keep some watermelons outside, but I pick
They only put the good ones outside. So they're all good.
Well, but I got the ones inside and those are good.
All right. Moving on from ripe watermelons and on to potted plants. These are the first plants I've ever owned, and they actually did better when I was living 2,000 miles away and my friend came to water them than when I live here with them. Like this one's dying. Yep, it just broke off.
That's why. Have you heard of succulents?
This is a succulent.
Oh, don't they not need water?
Apparently they do.
Oh. It's the dry climate. Don't you put more lotion on here?
Yeah,
more
and sunscreen. Yeah. Shout out to Kinesis. So Lisa, the watermelon eater, the Pisces.
I'm a Pisces.
Pisces.
Yes.
We were born in the same year. Cool.
Yeah. Oh, 31?
Turning 31.
Okay. When's your birthday?
Next month, August.
31's kind of hard.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Well,
it's like in our mid 30s.
It's that's not mid 30s. No. To anyone listening, 31 is not mid 30s. I will be celebrating my 30th birthday plus one. Mm-hmm. So to recap our conversation so far, watermelons are fantastic. Mm-hmm. And Lisa is a watermelon connoisseur who also happens to dabble in triathlon.
Yes.
So since this is an endurance-focused podcast and less about botany and such, let's move on over to that. Switching gears entirely, bike pun obviously intended.
Absolutely.
Do you remember your first, normally I ask run, but I'm going to ask ride.
Do I remember my first ride?
Your first bike ride.
Like,
were you wearing,
did you
have training wheels?
Oh, like back in the day.
Like you sit down on a bike and go. Your first time ever.
No, I don't.
Okay.
But I remember like a couple bikes growing up. I got not like two separate Christmases, but I got like two bikes for Christmas before, which was cool. So
Talking about those bikes.
Like, one was, I'm pretty sure, no, it didn't have training wheels on it, but it was pink and purple, and it had these like tassels off of the handlebars.
It only like lit up when you went like 27 miles an hour or faster.
No light up bikes. Santa I wasn't good enough that year to get the light up kind. But I just remember I'm like in this picture and I like had a mullet growing up because my parents thought that was cool, or they thought
obviously
that I didn't want to brush my hair or something. Right. Anyway, so I'm in this one like a jumpsuit pajamas and I'm like straddling my new bike I got for Christmas. So I remember that photo. And then I remember, I don't know, this is probably like upper elementary school, I got like this cool mint green Huffy, and I was like obsessed with that.
Now you've made it.
I rode that bike all over town. It was
nice.
Awesome.
And at what point did you realize you might be pretty good at riding bikes? You're still searching for that.
I don't know yet. I'm not sure yet. Still up in the air. Well, to be honest, I got my first like real bike in 2014 because I had signed up for a triathlon, and then I was like, shoot, I need a bike.
So why'd you sign up?
I signed up for my first triathlon because I had just finished graduate school, and I was a graduate assistant at a university. This was in Central Illinois, and all of my friends were the other graduate assistants. And I was offered a full-time coaching position, and they were all going to like different universities for various jobs. And so I was like, what am I going to do all summer? Literally all my friends in Central Illinois are leaving me, and there's not much to do in Central Illinois. So I'll sign up for a half Ironman because that'll keep me entertained all summer. So that was what what I did.
And what were you thinking about on the start line?
Well, I did a sprint triathlon 2 weeks before because someone told me it would be a good idea to do a triathlon before I did a half Ironman.
Would you say they were right?
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
Good advice.
But you know how like coming from a running background, you know how runners pin their bibs like onto their race kits? Like that's not a thing in triathlon.
Right, because it's just your skin.
Yeah, well they have these race belts that you like grab when you go to the run and you put it around you.
Right.
But in my first couple triathlons, I like would pin the numbers to me. And
you're
then
like, oh, look at this runner out of.
Yeah. They're like, who's this like newbie? Like, what is she doing? You need a race belt. And I was like, what's a race belt? You need a lot of things for triathlon. But then I like would swim in a sports bra, and then I would get into transition, and I would like throw on like a bike jersey with my pinned number on it. And it was super cool. I don't know where we were going with that.
You were going to talk about the experience on the start line, but you were pinning bibs on.
Yeah, pinning bibs on. Okay, experience on the start line. So for the half Ironman, it was a wetsuit legal race. And so I didn't have a wetsuit, so I rented one, which was great. And this one was in Lake Michigan because it was in Benton Harbor, Michigan, which is beautiful if you've never been. And I just remember like someone else from Central Illinois was there, and they were like, oh, help you like zip up your wetsuit, and you should like loop the thing like this so you can get it off. So I'm just like, all right, great, here we go. And in that time, my age category was with like the women's 50-55 age category too. So I was like, oh, I just got to get away from these 55-year-olds. I think that's what I was thinking.
Nice. What was the finish line like?
Painful. Painful. Because this is something I had to learn is like you need to eat a lot during these. It's more about eating, less about exercising at that point. And I remember the last mile, I was like hunched over and just trying to get to the finish line. And I remember I crossed the finish line, and I was like, I'm not going to do one of those for a very long time. And it took me 3 years to do another half Ironman.
And why did you choose to do another one?
Because I'd gotten more into triathlon, and I, at that point, I had qualified for my elite racing license, and I was like, I want to do one more half Ironman because that's what I'll probably be racing in the professional field. So I did one, and I won that one, so that was cool. And it was in North Carolina, and it was like a downstream swim.
Nice.
To swim really
just
fast.
Float.
You can literally float to a PR. It's my kind of swim.
That's my kind of swim, yeah. Okay, so you got your start in running, moved into triathlon. Let's back up a couple more steps and talk about your first run. Do you remember that?
I don't remember, but I'm sure I was beating everyone.
At what point did you realize that you were beating everyone and you might be good at this?
It was in elementary school. Elementary school, you know when girls were still faster than boys in elementary school? Those were the
Most
days.
of it.
Yeah. But we had this like mile that we would do for gym class, and I loved it. And I was the type of girl that would push really hard, and like my face would get like red and blotchy. And but
this isn't surprising at all.
They would I just remember like up until maybe it was 5th grade, the boys started like beating me again. But I would just like run around that mile loop, and I would just want to beat all the boys. So I thought that was like pretty good. And
so that was elementary school. Mm-hmm. Did you run competitively in middle school, high school, college? Or were you a elementary school phenom? And
well, I was the 6th grade mile record holder for a hot second.
Do you still hold that record?
No, I was beat. I'm bitter about
Recently?
it. No.
You torment the little girl?
No, I think when I was in high school, and that's what my dad would say, I peaked in 6th grade. Sometimes I agree with him.
So you're racing triathlon now.
Yeah.
You've been in Boulder for 4 years?
3.5.
3.5.
Yeah.
Okay, we're rounding down.
Yep.
Why Boulder? Why did you come to this mecca of an endurance place?
Yes. So I had been coaching collegiate cross country and track for 5.5 years, and I was just starting to get into more of triathlon. And I had a lot of people around me who were like, Lisa, you can try and do this at the professional level. And it took a couple of years for it to click and be like, oh, I don't really know if I like this sport, first of all, because I'd run year round with like the girls on the team and whatnot. And then in the
You couldn't get them to bike with you?
No. I tried to. Like, if they were injured, I was like, here, borrow the cyclocross bike. Like, let's go ride. But I would only like swim and bike in the summer because I was like, why would you swim and bike year round? I don't understand. Yeah. And so I started getting more into triathlon, started getting more competitive at it. And in 2017, I was kind of like, well, I only have so many years of my life to try and do this competitively. I kind of want to explore that opportunity. So I started looking for jobs, and this guy that I knew, we were ambassadors for a wheel company together. He was like, oh, this company I work for is hiring out in Boulder. And I was like, oh, Boulder, like the mecca of endurance, the mecca of running, the mecca of triathlon. Like, okay. So I applied to that job.
You could say it was a really good opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I moved out here essentially like December 2017.
And what was it like at first?
It was very humbling because I lived 6 miles up Lee Hill Drive, and which is at like 7,100 feet or so.
It's like challenging to drive up this road.
Yes. And I moved in the winter and I don't have a 4-wheel drive car. It was terrible. And I lived with a couple of runners, Andy Wacker and Carly Rumpel. Do you know them?
Oh yeah. It's like the athlete house.
Yes. Yeah. So I lived up there.
Got it.
And it was awesome. Like have you been up there?
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
The view is beautiful.
It's incredible.
But it's awful if you're a triathlete or not a mountain runner.
Got it.
Like if you're Andy, that's like your bread and butter. You're like running up mountains all day. And
right.
I'm like, no, I don't want to gain 600 feet in a mile run.
In the first mile.
Yeah, in the first mile. I lived there for about 6 months, but it was such a humbling experience because every group run you go to, every group ride, everywhere, you're like, oh, there's an Olympian and there's this person. And I was literally the slowest person at every group run. I'd be like, does anyone run like over a 7-minute pace for long runs? No? Okay. No, we are at 5,000 feet. Like, do we have to run fast all the time?
Did you guys know it's also 95 degrees
right
I'm
now?
Dying.
I've been dehydrated for 10 miles. Yeah. So it was a very humbling experience. And my whole first year as a professional was a very humbling experience.
So what kept you going through that?
I know and I knew at that point that I'm not someone who wants to give up on something really easily. And I knew that I had a lot to give and a lot more. I just knew I hadn't reached my potential or met it or was anywhere close to it. I mean, there was a lot of times where I was questioning if I could or not.
What were those conversations like?
Why did I move out here? Why did I leave a job that I really liked and a close-knit community? And what's the point? What am I doing this for? I would go through that conversation a lot.
Like daily?
Maybe not daily, but maybe like every couple of weeks, especially after I would race. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I just got my ass handed to me. And here we are. Do I belong here? Do I not? I think looking back, it was such an important thing to go through, but it's not fun to go through while you're going through it. You're like, don't have that perspective.
What would middle 30s Lisa say?
Well, if you're not saying we're mid-30s, then I'm not mid-30s.
Yeah, we're not.
I'm like early 20s.
Yeah. So what would early 20s Lisa say? Sorry, what would Lisa of today say to Lisa of 3.5 to 2.5 years ago? 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
So you're a year into it.
Yeah. I would say to chill out, relax, enjoy it, and trust where you are at in your process and your journey, because it doesn't matter where anyone else is. It doesn't matter if this person's XYZ and they're winning world championships. Like, that's not where you're at in your journey right now. Like, trust what you're doing day to day and really buy into the process and the process of learning about yourself through all of these like setbacks and comebacks and the process that's endurance sports. Like,
Are you still talking about endurance sports?
I don't I don't think so.
No, because I feel like
really philosophical.
I feel like
philosophical.
Nice.
Philosophical.
Philosophical. I was going to let you figure that one out. No, because your social media presence is very much like, that's the ethos of everything you share.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's your context. It is like, it doesn't matter what's going on around you. It's, are you in the process of getting better? Are you finding your way? Are you doing things that make you happy? And like, for anyone who doesn't follow Lisa, I suggest you change that. She is very like, it's like a mix of like pure stoke and entertainment, and also just like kicking your ass with philosophizing and good thoughts. So make sure you follow her. I don't know that Follow Friday is a thing anymore, but today we'll make it a thing.
It's Friday. It's Monday.
No, but this will be released on a Friday.
Okay. Sorry. It's Friday, everyone. Happy Friday. Happy weekend.
I had to check.
I know. I was like today I was like, I don't know what day it is. I usually don't know what month it is.
Yeah. I normally don't run on Mondays, and I just ran. So I'm like all sorts of confused.
So it's like Tuesday.
And I ran 5 miles, which is what I normally do on Friday. So actually.
So we'll just be in Friday.
Yeah, today's Friday.
I'm going to tell my coworkers I'm not working tomorrow. If you need me, I won't be here.
Why did Lisa get fired? She didn't show up for work for 2 days, but she did a cool podcast.
Yeah, so it's great.
So that's what you would tell yourself of 2.5 to 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
Do you think you would have believed that, or would it have hit?
No, I wouldn't have believed it. And I learned a lot of this when I was coaching collegiately, because when I was a freshman in college, my coach would tell me these things all the time. Like, you only have 4 years, like take advantage of it, XYZ, blah, 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 blah. But like as a freshman, you're like, food, cafeteria, boys, oh, dorm life, let's stay up till 2 a.m. There's a frat party. Yeah. So you're just like buzzing. And when I was coaching, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make sure that these kids know, that these freshmen know.
Tell them all the secrets.
I'm telling you everything that I should have known. And it's like in 1 year, out the other, you know. I just think it's something that you have to learn and experience. Like, you can try and educate yourself as much as you want and try to be, you know, read quotes and whatever. But
listen to podcasts. Yeah,
listen to podcasts. I'm gonna get better about that. But I don't know. I just think you have to. It's like a maturity. It's like a mental maturity thing. It just takes time.
What allowed you to finally like start to believe that?
It was more recently. Actually, after this past triathlon season at the end of 2020, I had the opportunity to compete in what was the 2020 biggest triathlon, Daytona PTO Championships. It wasn't the World Championship. It was just PTO Championships, whatever it was called. And I got my butt handed to me. Like I knew I was going to, but it kind of, I was just so worked up about it and just didn't feel like I belonged at all in that atmosphere, and kind of going in with that mentality just didn't help me, you know, compete any better, just made my competition even worse. And I went out to Tucson, Arizona to stay with a friend for the winter and just kind of train with her and whatnot. And we hung out, and she was working with a mental coach at the time. She's like, you need to work with this guy, XYZ. And so I worked with him for probably 3 or 4 months. And we would like chat, you know, once a week. And we would just talk about a lot of things just in life, insecurities, lacks of confidence. Where do these things show up? Like, why do I feel that way? And most of it like deals with how you were brought up, past experiences from a long time ago. And the cool thing I learned about that whole process was, as an athlete, if you want to compete at your best, you have to make sure everything else in your life is like squared away. Because if you're like worrying about this boy and this past relationship here, or a fight that you had with your mom or whatnot, like those are going to, whether or not we think they're going to have an effect, they are going to have effect on us. So if you want to compete at your best, like you have to be at peace with everything else in your life.
I don't know if it's at peace or like reconcile or working on. So a couple of years ago, I started seeing a therapist, and I had been seeing my chiropractor for chiro
and therapy. I mean,
no, but actually
my PT is like, I'm like, you're my therapist too.
Yeah. I would tell him all the time, I'm like, this is like part body work and part mental work. So thanks. But I had been seeing him for like, I don't know, 2 years at that point. And this was 2019.
Yeah.
And so I'd been going to a therapist for a year. And I had just broken up with my girlfriend at the time. And then I lost my grandfather. And so I was like going through this like world of like shit.
Yeah.
And my running was improving in ways that had never improved before.
Wow.
And like breakthrough workout after breakthrough workout.
Wow.
And Brian was like, you know why? He's like, because you're dealing with your shit.
Yeah.
Like you've got a lot of shit, but it's being dealt with. And so running was like the purest form of living because I would just like go out. I had one focus and it was go.
Yeah.
And nothing else mattered in that moment.
Yeah.
And I've referenced this workout a couple times on this podcast, but I very explicitly remember this 6 by 3 minute workout, 1 minute, 2 minute recovery. So like hard work.
Yeah.
And I'm running it along the Charles River in Boston in June. It must have been June because it was hot. And I had just had a conversation with my grandfather. He ended up passing away 2 months later. And so I went out for this run. Again, I just like broken up with girlfriend, grandfather. I'm like dealing with all of this. And I'm like, I'm just going to go. And on the 5th rep, which I always hate the penultimate rep, I think as most people do, I was like, how fucking cool is this that we get to choose discomfort? Let's go.
Yeah.
And I remember just like tearing up the rest of the workout. My coach told me like permission to fly today.
Yeah.
Like you can rip it a little bit if you want, particularly towards the end. And like the like empowering nature of being able to choose that discomfort in this like world of shit around you is fantastic. And so like, I'm so happy you had that experience of like choosing to work with someone, seeing the results that like you would expect to see. Yeah. And then hopefully thriving from it.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was some of the homework that he gave you? If you don't mind sharing.
No, I just remember this one time. And I'm not. His name is Brandon. Brandon's awesome. I'm pretty sure he thinks I'm crazy. It's great.
It's good for business.
It's great. Yeah, it's good for business. And I was so angry about something. I couldn't get like it wasn't a productive like chat with him at all because I like couldn't get past this like anger. And he's like, Lisa, you got to get rid of the anger. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? He's like, just go drive to the top of the mountain, scream or something, or like punch your pillow or something. And well, I didn't do either of those things because I was like, I don't want to do that. But I remember
the screaming in a car thing is fantastic. Highly recommend it.
No, I was like to listen to like angry music and sing
and scream alongside it.
And so I was listening to like Eminem, and I really like Eminem. It's the weird part is like my music choices. Like I can listen to a lot of different music choices, like for a lot of different things. So like I can listen to country music while I'm like hammering really hard in a workout, and I can listen to Eminem while I'm hammering really hard in a workout or riding easy. Anyways, I was like,
where's Taylor Swift fit into this? Both, right?
T-Swift, absolutely. Yeah, I have a T-Swift playlist. But I just got Spotify. Sorry, my work brain is coming.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Apps. And so I just learned how to like download playlists.
Oh, congrats.
So I can listen to them in the mountains opposed to like the 4 songs I can listen to on repeat.
I realized I need to do that because I keep going out into no cell coverage and I'm like, yep, okay, I heard that song.
Yeah. And my radio in my car doesn't work if I'm driving.
Got it.
So I'm like.
Does it work when you're not driving?
No. Well, I don't know. I guess I haven't really tried. I don't just sit in my car with it running often. I try not to. It's bad for the environment. But yeah, so the anger thing. So I just sang along with some Eminem music.
What was the song?
Cleaning out my closet.
Oh, literally and figuratively.
Yes, yeah, it's good. It's on one of my playlists now because I really like that song.
So do you still work with a mental coach?
I haven't worked with him for a little while, but we've kind of been on the if I need him basis, like call him up. But the things that I have learned from him and like the skills that he's given me, I'm trying to work on myself. So like if I find myself really annoyed about something or XYZ, I'm like, okay, take a deep breath. Like, what would Brandon say? Try to just be more conscious of your feelings and emotions. So I'm trying to get to the point where I'm like good at that. But if at a point I'm like just so stuck, that's when I'll like reach out. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Do you practice gratitude at all?
I probably should more often because that's really important. The summer camp that I worked for back in like northeastern Pennsylvania one summer, was awesome because we had our campers and the counselors had to write 3 things we were grateful for down at the end of every day, which was cool. And it was cool to listen to campers do it. So I should go back and do that more often. Yeah. Do you?
Yeah, I found it to be powerful. I haven't like intentionally chosen to do it in a while. I used to do it every time I would go into the sauna. Because it's like, sauna. What else can you do when you're in the sauna but think?
Suffer. Get out. Get out.
Get out.
Not be in the sauna.
Not be in the sauna. Yeah. This run felt like a sauna just now. No, it's because it's like a forced, like you can't use your phone. It's like hard to read because the pages fall out of the book and things like that. So it's just like you and your thoughts.
Yeah.
And so I was doing it a couple times a week at the end of the workday and just like go in and like think.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to just be with your thoughts. And it's hard to think about what you're thinking of.
Right.
To be conscious of it. Like right now, I don't know what I'm thinking.
What are you thinking about right now?
I don't know.
What's he going to ask me next?
Like, he has curly hair. I have straight hair. Like, I don't know.
That painting is on the ground. Why is that painting on the ground?
Yeah. But isn't it cool how you can think about something and then be talking at the same time?
Yeah. I think it's, there's a word for that.
Multitasking.
Thanks again to Beam for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. As the days start to warm up and get longer, a cool down routine in the evening becomes even more important. Did you know that you can get a subscription to Beam's Dream Powder? It's what I use most nights before bed to help with a refreshing night's sleep. When you subscribe, you'll get the Dream Blend with a bunch of perks like even better pricing, free shipping, a free mug, and a drink frother just for signing up. Dream helps me wind down at night, and it's made with compounds like melatonin and magnesium that support a better night's sleep. Make sure to use the code FTLR at checkout for an extra 15% off the already discounted 20% off monthly rate. Thanks again to SuperCoffee for supporting this episode. I have been loving their French vanilla and hazelnut flavors and the cold brew cans. SuperCoffee combines the caffeine from 2 cups of coffee with protein and healthy fats to give you hours of focused energy with no jitters or crash. I love it as a strong start to the day. Receive 15% off of your purchase at drinksupercoffee.com/FTLR or use the code FTLR at checkout. I recommend trying one of their variety packs or bundles. If you give it a try, let me know what you think. And now back to our conversation. Okay, so we've talked a lot about biking and running. Let's talk about swimming.
Yes.
Do you enjoy swimming?
In groups, yes.
Hot take.
Well, okay. Yes and no. I love when I swim and it feels good. You know how like when you run and it feels good?
Yeah.
It's like same thing with swimming. So when it feels good and I'm swimming fast, I like those days.
But you can't have those days without the shitty days, right?
Yeah, I know.
You're talking about running? I mean, swimming still?
Yeah, I know. Life in general.
Isn't it funny how everything overlaps?
Yeah.
I did an interview a couple weeks ago and the woman was like, so do you have any lessons that you learned in running that you applied to life? I was like, all of them?
Everything?
She was like, tell me more about that. I was like, here are 10 examples.
Yeah. 15, 35.
Of things
Just
that
give me more
happened
time.
today.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the process?
The journey. But yes, so swimming. I like swimming in groups. I hate swimming by myself. I don't really like open water swimming, but the group that I train with, we do open water swimming once a week now. And it's kind of fun sometimes, but we have to do this like warm up. And like our coach, Julie Dibbins, is like, okay, warm up to the other side of the, like to this side of the
other
lake.
Side of the lake and back.
Or like, yeah, no, it's like swim around. We'll do one lap around the lake. And it's not a big lake, but it's still like 1,500 yards. And like, so it's like over 20 minutes of swimming, like straight.
As a warm up.
Yeah, as a warm up. I only do that when I race. I'm like, I don't want to just like swim straight. And then I get like dizzy and I'm like, where am I? And you're sighting.
You need the pole buoy, buoy and.
I need all the things and I need just a kayak to rest on for a little while. So yeah, but I like splashing and swimming. Like if you're in a lake.
Like going to the pool, yeah.
Yeah, like splash. Yeah. Like let's have fun. Let's go to the beach. I like that swimming better.
Let's go to the beach and swim 2.4 miles.
Yeah, oh, no thanks. This is heavy.
The microphone?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a new one. I should tell guests to like work on their grip strength first. Yeah. Maybe I should have tennis players on the podcast.
That's I think about endurance athletes.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not.
This one is older, but that one's newer, and it's apparently better quality.
100%.
I was doing a podcast a couple weeks ago, and I realized that my second microphone was broken, so that's why that one exists.
So did you just share it?
No.
Back and
No, I
forth?
went and got another.
Like, sit here for a second.
I was like, I'll be back. No, this was before she got
Okay.
here, fortunately. I was like preparing in advance for once, and it paid off.
Yeah, there you go.
Not literally, because I then had to buy something. So swim, bike, run.
Mhm.
You do a lot of 70.3s.
Yes,
Do you
mostly.
feel pressured to do more full Ironman distance?
No, I'll do one eventually. I don't know if I'll ever really get into them, but I don't know. I don't feel pressure because I feel like I have a lot more to give at the 70.3 distance.
While you're in your late 20s?
Yep. Early 20s.
Right, sorry.
And also, training for full Ironman, it's just like, that's a really long time to exercise.
That's true.
It's like a very long time. You miss at least 2 meals while you're racing.
That's a lot of time.
That's a lot of meals.
It's a lot of meals.
Yeah.
So on a similar note, like
Yeah.
I was training for 50K a couple of years ago, and it's like you miss 2 meals, and it's like 3:00.
Yeah.
Like
Where'd the day go? What did I do with my day?
And all of my meals were liquid.
Yeah. And then you're like, well, I don't know what you do in a 50K, but like triathlon, you just like pee yourself.
Yeah.
So like you pee yourself multiple times in this like race. And then you're just, I don't know.
And then because you got all those beta alanines, you're
Betalines.
You're peeing red.
Yes, exactly. And I'm
You got this
dehydrated.
red trickle down your leg.
People are like, she's bleeding. No, it's fine. Fine,
So speaking of
kid.
betalines.
Betalines. Yeah, everyone says beta alanine. Very different.
Right. Speaking
Betalines.
of betalines,
The good stuff.
what are they? And tell me more about the company you work for.
Yeah. So the company I work for, SurPhyto Performance, is a small company, and kind of our mission is to bring plant-based products to athletes that are going to help them reach their goals and help them stay healthy. So we actually have, and there's just 4 of us in the company, which is pretty cool.
Cool.
So, but we're branched off of a large 7-generation family farming company in Moment, Illinois. They're massive ingredients producers, and the CEO, Jeff Van Drunen of that company, is an avid cyclist. And at the company, they have another branch called SuperCoffee, and they do a whole bunch of research on plants and plant phytonutrients and how that stuff helps health, essentially. And about 11 or 12 years ago, they found something called betaline, which is just a red pigment. It's found in a couple different places in nature. Dragon fruit, prickly pear cactus. We get ours from red beets, and we made a product called Alt Red. We actually, today's our 4th birthday.
Wow.
Alt Red. So happy birthday, Alt Red. And so we extract that betaline, put it in tiny capsules, and it's something that you take before and during exercise. You've probably talked about beets and the beet craze on this podcast. And as endurance athletes, there's a whole bunch of research in beets and nitric oxide. And we like to say that Alt Red is similar to beets, but it's better than beets because we take the most potent part of the beet, remove it from the plant matrix. So normally the betaline's attached to a sugar and a nitrate. Remove the sugar, remove the nitrate, and when you ingest it, it actually helps stimulate your body to create this own process that it already does, which is create something called nitrosylated hemoglobin. So essentially, a nitric oxide attaches to hemoglobin. And when it attaches, that molecule is way more stable and lasts a lot longer in your body than, say, something like just free-floating nitric oxide. Nitric oxide in your body's half-life is like 0.05 seconds. It's there, it's gone. You do this vasodilation, and it's out of there. So by attaching to this hemoglobin molecule, it sticks around for a lot longer. So it helps it vasodilate. It's a super strong natural antioxidant. The clinical research that we did showed a 14% decrease in blood lactate levels, as well as 3% increase in FTP, functional threshold.
Power.
Power. Sorry, I just maybe had a seizure for a second. FTP for all those cyclists out there. But
what did you say?
I don't know. Watts. It gives you more watts, essentially.
Like big watts.
Yes, I like big watts. I cannot lie. But yeah, so that's Alt Red.
Cool. How many times have you given that spiel? Hundreds?
No. I would probably say over 10,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a lot of times.
Yeah, it's a lot of times because I work the expo scene. You gotta wheel and deal and talk to everyone.
Yeah.
And I give you the fancy version.
Cool. Got it.
I just say it makes you go faster and you recover faster. You feel better.
Confirmed. And it has a super cool label that says...
Well, that's our old label, but you like the old label. You're really into it.
It says to take an hour before training for 1 to 2 hours, and something about it to take another one if you are training for more than 2 hours. If you are training for 2+ hours, you are awesome, and to take more.
Yeah. Yes, you are awesome.
So what is it like for you as an athlete working in the industry with athletes?
I think there's more pros than cons for sure. For me, it helps me be more relatable to them. And I specifically get to work with our like elite athletes, which is really fun. And I get to learn a lot, which is awesome. So like we have 2 rowers that we work with, and they're like in Tokyo right now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I don't know anything about
Did you
rowing.
ask them if the beds were real?
No, I've like seen photos about these cardboard beds. It sounds awful, but I should ask them. I was like, can you send me a photo? But it's cool because now I'm learning more about like rowing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is a badass sport, and one of those super niche sports that don't have a ton of support, like football and baseball and like all these other like endurance triathlon. But yeah, so it's cool to meet other athletes from other sports as well.
Cool. Did you ever think you'd be working in the industry?
If you asked me like 5 years ago, no, because I wasn't really in the industry. I was gonna be a collegiate track and cross country coach for my whole life. That's what I was gonna do. But then me pursuing my own kind of dreams and goals in sport, it wasn't as conducive to be on the collegiate cross country and track schedule because you have a meet every single weekend,
right,
besides like 4 in the summer. And then you're recruiting all the time. So, but now it's awesome to be in the industry because of the people that I've met.
Speaking of the people you met, question about being in Colorado, specifically Boulder. I think the people in Boulder and Colorado are particularly interesting because, as we talked about earlier, like nobody's from here. Nobody who lives here is from here.
And they're all freak athletes.
But they've moved here because they're betting on themselves, right? You moved here because somebody said, oh, you should move here. And you wanted to move here and train and like give yourself a chance.
Yeah.
And it's like multiply that times 50% of the residents of Boulder and the surrounding areas. And you have a shitload of like really motivated, confident people who have gambled on themselves, who don't have family nearby. So community is important and this and that. I don't know where I was going with this, but that's my observation. But
Boulder's awesome, but don't move here because the housing prices are already too expensive and I'll never be able to actually buy one. So if all the Boulder people could actually leave Boulder, that would be ideal. Yeah, smoke is coming, fire season, get out of here.
But have you found that to be true? Have you found the community to be welcoming, open, that kind of thing?
Yeah, and to be honest, I think it took a little while to actually find my community. And part of the reason was because when I first took this job with SurPhyto Performance, I actually lived and traveled in a van for 8 months. So I was gone from Boulder for a while. And then I got back in like December 2019, and then the world shut down in 2020. So but
it's a whole new world for you then.
Yeah, kind of. When things started kind of getting back to normal, I just joined a new training group. So now I actually have like people that I train with, which is pretty cool. Yeah. So it's just finding the right people, because not every person in Boulder is going to be like the right person for you. Yeah. And not everyone's going to be awesome. You know, and not everyone's going to be as cool as you. Yeah, exactly.
Retweet.
Is Twitter still a thing?
I think so.
Okay. I think I have an account, but I don't know. I don't know when last time I tweeted was.
Nice.
Anyways. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been fascinating to get here, you know, knowing a lot of people, but also meeting a lot more people that like, everyone is very different, but like the ethos is very similar. Someone who's like confident enough in themselves to take a chance.
Yeah.
And those people, when you put them together, it's a very special kind of connection.
And you get to thrive off of each other.
Yeah.
And if you come to the pool one day and you're really tired, but you're like, but this person's working their ass off, like, all right, it's okay. I'm going to work my ass off too. But then there's like the fine line where you're like, well, I can't just keep, you know, the foot on the gas all the time.
Like they've got 4 kids and 2 dogs and 4 jobs. And
let's do this all. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I know so many people, especially more of like the runners that are just hustlers because they have like 4 jobs.
Yeah. I think there have to be limits and boundaries.
Yes. Because at some point you're going to be more tired than productive, and then you're just going to be hurt.
Correct. Yeah. Hurt and angry.
Yeah.
Okay. So fast forward 5 years to your proper mid 30s, which is fast forwarding from your early 20s, like pretty significantly. What are you really proud of accomplishing?
Well, I don't know. I just have to share this real quick because you were like, in high school, did you fill out one of those, like, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
I don't think I did, but I know what you're talking about.
I did. I said, like, what would you have accomplished
Where
in 10
did
years?
you see yourself in 10 years?
Yeah. And so I went to my 10-year high school reunion a couple years ago.
Nice. Aren't those awkward?
It was kind of, I was the first person there.
That's a guarantee to be awkward.
I was like, of course this is what I get because I'm really early to everything.
And nobody else showed up for 2 hours.
Yeah, well, no, then thankfully someone else showed up, but I was like, I don't remember who that is.
They have a name tag?
Yeah, we did have to put name tags on. But so we filled out these time capsules senior year of high school. We had to open them, which was really funny. And I said, so 10 years later from high school is 28. And by 28, I was going to be a personal trainer living in California with 4 kids. And I was going to have completed an Ironman. And I was just like, thank God none of that is true. I was like, what was I thinking back then? Like,
what were you thinking?
I don't know.
4 by 28.
Yeah. What?
Wow.
That's like my sister. No, she had 4 by 32. That was too many.
Got it.
I love my nieces.
Still possible, but.
But yeah, so I don't know what I was thinking. So anyways, where do I see, looking back, where do I see myself? Or what I.
Fast forward 5 years.
5 years. So I'm 36.
Yeah. Which is by definition
mid 30s.
Mid 30s.
Upper 30s.
No, mid.
I think I'd be really proud excited if I was able to feel like I didn't leave anything out, or I didn't leave any stone unturned, if that makes sense. Like I think I would be most proud if I felt like I really tried hard every day and brought positive attitude and was optimistic. I mean, yeah, would I love to like win all these races? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, I don't want to measure my success by like winning races or finishing on podiums. I'd rather look back and say, like, am I proud of the way that I trained and the person that I've become and the relationships that I made compared to winning this world championship? But that would be cool.
Do you think that attitude and approach will allow you to win more or achieve that objective level of success?
I don't know, because I think a lot of people that I meet who are like world champions and stuff, I feel like they might be a little more edgy than I am. And maybe that's something that I have to learn to be, like, when you can turn that on and when you can turn it off.
Is it edgy or is it confidence in your ability?
I think it might be confidence, but I think sometimes you have to like talk the talk before you walk the walk, because then like you're kind of setting a standard or expectation for yourself. So
fake it till you make it.
Yeah. Kind of like that. Like, okay. And so the coach that I'm working with now, Julie Dibbins, she's an awesome person. And she's a multiple time world champion, was an Olympian, yada, yada, yada. Anyways, she's like a really good cyclist. And so like my thing now is like, I just really want to kick her ass on the bike. I want to be able to drop her so hard. But she's really fast still, really fast. But so I'm like, maybe I'm gonna get a little like edgy because I'm gonna like be like, I'm gonna kick your ass today type of thing. So
I think that's the way.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, so zoom back 5 years.
Okay, how old am I now?
Right now, today.
Okay. Yeah.
What are you really proud of right now?
Well, I successfully cut a watermelon yesterday. So I'm proud of that, and I have all my fingers still attached.
That is important.
It is important. What am I really proud of?
It helps with drag when the swim, so you do need all those fingers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And I need all the help I can get in that category. What am I really proud of? I think I'm proud of staying true to myself in terms of what I want and who I am and having a level of integrity. I think I'm proud of that.
What does that mean?
I think, and you can define, I guess, integrity in a lot of different ways, but like integrity in saying like true to yourself, true to what you want, true to how you feel, true to relationships that you make or break, just kind of like doing my best to be authentically me. And it takes a little bit of time for sure, because sometimes when you're sitting by yourself in the sun and you're like, am I being myself? I don't know. What is myself? Who is I? Who am I? I don't know. So I think I'm proud of at least the effort that I'm making to do that. And I think I'm proud of some of the setbacks that I've overcome. I had surgery in 2020, and that was hard to get over and get through. But I think I'm proud of kind of going through that process and being patient with it and learning about myself throughout it. And I think I'm just proud of like the relationships that I've made.
Cool.
Yeah. The people I've surrounded myself with.
Along the line of integrity, someone said to me once, if it's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no. And
I
that's
like
like
that.
right in line with like what you were saying there.
Yeah. I like that quote.
Yeah.
I might steal it.
Go for
If
it.
you see it on Instagram, I'll quote you.
Nice.
Quote credit, John.
Get 10,000 new followers overnight. I'll finally be able to get the swipe up.
Yeah. The blue check. Oh, the
The
swipe
blue
up.
check is,
The
yeah, I
swipe
got to
up.
go to Tokyo for the blue check.
Probably. Or like be like a Nobel Prize winner or
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Or like a top podcaster or something.
Oh, you're on your way though. Once I start listening to all the
yeah.
podcasts.
And once this one goes live, we're
Goes viral.
We're
Watch
golden.
it
Yeah.
out.
What are you afraid of besides the bottom of that can of seltzer?
And I have like one sip left. And it's watermelon flavor. Oh my God.
Good, right?
It is
That's
good.
destiny.
But it is destiny. But I would say that like my favorite seltzer flavor is grape.
Okay.
Which is like unpopular opinion.
Definitely unpopular
But,
opinion. Do you like grape medicine too?
Okay, everyone says like, oh, grape, and then they go right to the grape medicine. Just nobody likes any flavor medicine.
Fine.
Right?
Yeah, okay.
They're like, no, I don't like grape medicine. I don't
Grape
like
Gatorade. You like,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
All right.
Grape lollipops, grape flavored candy.
Wow, very
Yeah,
grape.
all about it. I'm also a big strawberry.
Got it.
Yeah. What am I scared of? Spiders. I killed
Reasonable.
a spider yesterday.
Nice. Congrats.
And my roommate got really mad at me. He's like, don't kill spiders. Don't kill spiders. They're bad luck. I'm like, ooh.
It's worse luck to like wake up eating one.
Yeah, I'm like itchy. Like, I'm going to kill the spider. And he's like, I'll take care of it next time. I was like, okay, but you're coming running any hour of the day to take care of the spider. Okay, what am I really afraid of? Well, I'm kind of afraid of not staying true to myself, what I want, what I think I deserve. And I'm scared of settling. Scared of settling in relationships, in work, in athletics.
Do you think that's what pushes you?
I don't know if that pushes me right now, but like in terms of athletics, but I think I'm more motivated by trying to find out what I am capable of, opposed to just being like okay with being mediocre. But I think the settling thing is scary. Because like we see people all the time, like in relationships that you're like, why are you in that relationship? You're always complaining. Or just like,
I mean, I've like lived that.
yeah, yeah. You're like, and I think most of us all have.
Yeah.
Like if you've had a couple relationships, you're
Right.
getting to a point you're like, do I deserve this? Is this right for me?
But that's the hard thing. It's like what you have versus what you want.
yeah.
And it's running, it's triathlon, it's life, it's whatever. It's the house you're in, it's the bike you have, it's the
Right.
relationship you have.
Right.
I don't know where I was going with that.
Don't settle in life or anything, you know? I don't know.
Cool.
So
Let's see. We have time for one more question here. What do you wish people knew about you besides the grape thing? Maybe you don't wish people knew about that.
maybe they'll judge me. They'll probably judge me. Don't judge people. It's bad. It's bad juju. What I wish people knew about me. I already told you my biggest accomplishment, my 6th grade mile record.
That's true.
Yeah.
You wish people knew you still held that.
Yeah, which I don't. What do I wish people knew about me?
You just like make something up.
I know. That's
This is creative liberty.
I can shake my eyes.
Let's see it. Yeah, I can see it. I'm confirming that it's happening.
I can shake my eyes. And people are like, how do you do it? Like, I don't know. I have just really strong eye muscles. So I don't know. Maybe that's like more of a special talent question.
Well, that counts.
Yeah.
So if people want to follow along with triathlon, eye shaking,
Yes.
watermelons, and spider killing, where can we find you on your corner of the internet?
Oh, I don't have a website. Should I create a website? Do you have a website?
I have a website.
Oh, maybe I'll make a website.
I got a guy.
Okay, you got a guy. You can hook me up with the guy who can create my website.
His name is Tony.
Tony.
Tony with a Sony.
You can follow me on Instagram at Lisa Becharas, Becharas. It's Greek. For
All
those
right.
wondering, everyone's like, probably, what is that? It's Greek. I'm Greek. You look at me and you see no Greek in me. But yeah, that's
Cool.
where you can follow me.
Awesome.
I have a TikTok, but I usually
Just
watch videos.
post to Instagram.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
time.
thanks so much for taking some time to chat, and we'll go for a bike ride sometime soon.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Of course, you can drop me.
Anytime.
That's it for today's episode. Like many long runs, it's sad when it has to end. I hope you join in next time on For the Long Run, and in the meantime, happy trails. If you enjoyed this episode, it would mean a lot to me if you shared it so that others can find it and enjoy it too. This podcast and the accompanying music has been produced by Brian Walters of Single Track Sound. For the Long Run's logo was created by Vanessa Wolf of Sterling Wolf.